Yo, fall in love with receiving criticism. Truly, truly fall in love with receiving criticism. Now, you might be wondering, why am I on this topic? Well, the reason is today I was speaking in front of a crowd, and I started to lose my train of thought a little bit because some of the things were distracting me. Some of the people were in the crowd, messing around, shuffling around, and that that started to get in my head, and I started to get lost. Right? That's, let's say, that's my excuse. Right? And and I wasn't also that well prepared, right? Which is another thing. You always want to be prepared, always be over prepared, right? As anything goes, be over prepared. That's kind of a good philosophy to have. But I say fall in love with criticism because that's how you improve, right? If your goal is to truly become exceptional and truly become better and truly become a winner, that's what you have to do, right? Now, before I continue on with the video, let's acknowledge the fit. Black suit pants. This is what I wore today. We got the tie, red, black, and white. It's really small, but it makes it, the red, black, and white patterns are really small. So yeah, it gives it like a really, really nice design. Matching pocket square. And we got a little triangle flower thing going on. White shirt, pretty crispy. Fit, it's pretty on point. Black shoes. You could also wear this fit with brown shoes, but it has to be like a nice type of dark brown. Black face watch, black leather watch, and then perfect smile. Now let's continue with the video. So you want to fall in love with criticism, right? Now it might be painful, and the reason I'm speaking on this specifically today is because after I spoke, I got a lot of criticism, not only from one person but from a few people, and I wasn't too happy about receiving that criticism because I already knew I didn't do a great job, but because of the way the criticism was given to me, I didn't really appreciate it until the end of the day, which is before, let's say an hour before I make this video, right? And the criticism was on how I was speaking, but also the topics that I was speaking on, the examples that I gave. Like, I want to show this to you as I started to go all over the place. And this is a pattern that I also noticed in some of my YouTube videos, which I tend to start to go all over the place, and then I got to bring it back. Right? That's something I'm trying to do less and less. And the way I do that is by having notes on the side. And today I was speaking without notes. Normally I have notes, but today I spoke without notes. So that was another mistake that I made. I got up to speak without notes, right? And it's one of those things where after analyzing and analyzing and analyzing and even asking questions, I asked my dad, I was like, yo, um, what did I do wrong today when I spoke? And then he gave me pretty solid feedback. And then, I said, I understand what you're saying, right? That was my simple response. I understand what you're saying. Now I know where to improve next time, right? Now I know where to make a change because, believe it or not, you don't improve without making mistakes. You don't get better without making mistakes, right? And I'm not gonna say I love making mistakes, but I love the fact that I get feedback when I make mistakes, even though sometimes it might come across as harsh, right? Because it has to be painful, and it's not always gonna be painful, but criticism will be painful. Especially me, even me putting myself on the internet, putting content out there. I understand I'm gonna get criticism. I've gotten essays of criticism from people, right? I've gotten straight blocks of essay comments on my videos, not only on YouTube. I've got them on TikTok. I've even gotten them on Instagram, right? And when you start to fall in love with the types of criticism that you receive, it really starts to shape the direction that you head into, right? And so this also goes back to even just a lot of the topics that I've been speaking about recently, and even a topic I spoke about today as well, is knowing your intentions and then being honest with your intentions and then committing to your intentions, right? That plays a major role in everything you want to do and in every direction that you want to go into, right? And it also goes back into what I was speaking in yesterday's video as well, right? You need to have extremely unreasonable standards for yourself because those standards are what's going to allow you to stand out amongst the crowd, right? Because most people want the same things. Most people aspire for the same things. Most people love the same things. Most people like to do the same things, right? And so the standards that you have is what starts to differentiate you. The standards that you have when you're getting into a relationship, the standards that you have with even the girls that you choose to meet, right? All that starts to play a major role. The standards that you have with the types of people you get into business with, right? The standards that you have in how you dress and how you present yourself, the standards that you have in how you do your work, what time you get up, when you go to the gym. All this kind of stuff starts to play a major role into shaping your life into the direction that you want it to go into, right? And so this is why the main topic of the video is you must fall in love with criticism, because the more you start to see yourself ranking up, the more you see yourself becoming better, the more you see yourself going faster, going stronger, and then it takes one piece of criticism to really just shock you into place. And if you don't choose to receive it, right? I forget who said this or how this quote was, but basically it's something about how you perceive criticism, right? When it's given to you, it's your choice on which direction you choose to go into with, right? Whether it's in a positive direction or in a negative direction, right? Feedback versus criticism. There we go. It's either criticism or feedback, right? It's up to you on how you take it. Is it criticism or is it feedback, right? If I'm telling you, yo, fix your clothes, are you choosing to choose it as feedback, or are you choosing to receive it as criticism, right? And so the way you perceive the things that people say to you will do an immense job at shaping who you aim to be, how you aim to be, and where you are looking to go in life, right? Like, even for me, I understand that at some point I'm going to be speaking on bigger and bigger stages, right? Even with the recent partnership deal that I struck, I know that's going to lead me in that direction. And so I get the practice in now. The videos are practice, right? Me standing up is practice, right? And so the more I get the repetition in, the closer and closer I'm going to get, so that when I speak on a stage again, oh, great job, right? Because I'm putting the reps in. I'm putting the reps in every single day. And even though it may be painful when people say certain things about you or how they say it, but it's ultimately up to you on how you choose to receive it. And so when you choose to receive it in a feedback type of way, now you can start to implement it and improve and start to head into the right direction, right? And very few people have that skill, right? And when I say very few people, I mean very few people, because a lot of people might believe or might assume that they are choosing to receive the feedback in a positive way, but ultimately you're not, and then you don't really change, and then you don't really improve, and you don't really get better and make a difference, make a change, right? And so this goes back to the same topic of leveraging discipline as a tool, right? Because discipline is a tool. It's not really a goal state, because eventually it's going to run out, right? You can't just be a disciplined person. Like, discipline is a tool for you to use to do things when you don't want to do them, right? So instead of chasing discipline, you want to chase positive momentum, right? And the way you do this, the best way to really do this is to study the greats, so that you can become greater than them, right? I always say this, you need to be a scientist at studying people that are better than you, studying people that are faster, stronger, more efficient than you at a specific skill, a specific task, a specific job, whatever it may be. You need to always be studying the people that are ahead of you, the people that are way, way better than you, right? Understand how they operate, why they operate that way, and what's allowing them to operate that way, right? Even in a recent video, like I spoke about how the men at the top are cheating, right? And the way they're cheating is they're just doing more reps than you. They're also, some of them are taking supplements so that they could focus longer. Some of them are drinking 20 cups of coffee a day, right? So it's understanding what is allowing them to operate at a different level than you, and then see if it makes sense for you to replicate it. If I'm not a big person on taking supplements, so I'll probably be drinking way more coffee than taking supplements, right? And even for the gym, I don't really take supplements or anything like that for the gym. I'd much rather just, drink water, drink coffee, or I really don't take anything before I work out. I don't like to eat before I work out, and I don't like to have anything but water before I'm working out or even during my workout, right? I don't even take protein shakes or anything like that. I want to avoid anything that's not natural, right? That's not natural to my progression, because I just don't want it to affect me when I'm 30, when I'm 40, when I'm 50, when I'm 70, when I'm even 80, right? If I get to be around that long, right? So it's one of those things where, me just choosing the way I want to shape and direct my life, I know that I'm always going to be working out, right? Like, even if I'm 60, right? Like, I know that the goal is to always be working out. Most people don't do that, right? It's become so normalized to have, let's say, a dad bod, or to be fat, or to even not even be fat, but just to be out of shape, right? Very few people stay in shape, and then they wonder why they can't do certain things later on in life, right? Or they wonder why, let's say, something goes wrong in their relationship, right? No relationship is perfect, and it's not always because of how you look. But imagine you look better, right? Imagine you were in shape. Imagine she was in shape, right? And you're both in shape. How would that impact your relationship, right? So these things start to play a role in every area of your life. And this goes back to having unreasonable standards for yourself. And some of the standards, they might seem as unreasonable today, but let's say years ago, probably thousands of years ago, those were certain standards. Like, a standard was if somebody was fat. I think in the past, even in some countries today, if somebody's fat, that means they have money, because that means they can afford to get more food than everybody else, right? So that's why they're fat. So that's a standard. That's something that they accept. That if somebody is fat, that means they can afford to just buy more food or grow more crops or whatever, right? So all these standards, it's you choosing what type of standards you want to have for yourself. Because obviously over time, as we evolve as humans, we've learned, okay, being fat isn't really that healthy. And then we also learned that, okay, being overly skinny isn't also that healthy. So it's also about finding out what works for you, what size works for you. Even for me, I go to the gym so that I have an aesthetic body. I don't really go so that I can put on more size, right? Like, no, sure, I might make my shoulders a little bit bigger, I make my chest a little bit bigger, my back a little bit bigger, right? But I'm not a huge legs guy, right? Like, and that's because at this stage in life right now, my legs grow fast, right? So I probably hit legs once a week, right? And that's because I don't like going shopping, and I don't want to constantly have to buy new pants, right? Because it's already hard enough for me to find the right size pants, right? So it's one of those things where you choose the direction that you want to lead your life into. You choose the standards that you want to have. You get to choose how you want to carry yourself, right? When you know your intentions, when you're honest with your intentions, with what you want, with the direction you want to go into, and then you commit to those, that's how you start to really, really head into the direction that you want, right? Like, another thing I've said in some of my previous videos is you need to always be relentlessly enhancing your authority and leverage. This is something I get from Kevin Samuels, right? When I heard him say that, I was like, wow, it's something I'm already doing. But you know those things that you're already doing, but somebody says it and then you're like, oh, that makes so much sense. So when you're relentlessly enhancing your authority and leverage, you're making sure you're doing everything in your power so that whatever job you have, whatever career you have, whatever, let's say, whatever you choose to do in life, even if it's just working out, you're always making sure that you're constantly enhancing your authority and leverage in that position, in that job, in the business, on the playground, right? Are you the captain? Are you the team captain? Right? You're always making sure you're in the highest, most leverage and authoritative position, because that's what gets you to do things the way you want to do them, how you want to do them, when you want to do them, where you want to do them. It's about having the authority and the leverage, right? And so it's making sure you're always ranking up. You're always ranking up. You're always ranking up. That's really what it means to be someone who's extremely capable as well, right? So another thing that I spoke about is you need to truly believe in yourself no matter what, and never be satisfied, right? That's what it means to be relentless. You're always chasing the next trophy. You're always chasing the next goal, right? Jordan, he wins 2 trophies. He has 3 fingers up because the third one is the next trophy. He wins 3 trophies, but he wins a third ring, right? But he has 4 hands up, 4 fingers up, because number 4 is next, right? So he's already envisioning himself winning number 4. I think he has 6 rings, right? Even Brady, right? Brady has 7 or 8. And why is he going after 8? A lot of people had, he doesn't need it. Yeah, he doesn't need it to you, but to him, he wants to make sure that he's, well, inside, right? He probably never stated it, but inside, he probably wants to make sure that nobody else ever gets the same amount of rings that he gets, or it's almost impossible for somebody else to get it. And if somebody else does get it, what are they going to say? Brady did it first, right? Even Jordan. You can't drop Jordan as a legend because he did a lot of things first, right? And, a lot of times you don't remember the people who did it first, but it depends, right? I think that's something Kanye said, right? You don't know who came up with the roads. You don't know who came up with traffic lights, right? I think that was something he said, where he was like, he doesn't want to be remembered, because that means that he did something that completely changed something, right? It's kind of like going back to the traffic lights and the roads. You don't know who came up with roads. You don't know who came up with traffic lights. Heck, nobody probably even knows who came up with a tie, or who came up with white and collared shirts, or who came up with suits, right? Because different, as we evolve over time, different things change, right? Suits didn't always look like this, but they changed. And now we have three-piece suits, we have double-breasted suits, we have, even a single button suit, six button suits, eight buttons, right? You have the overcoats. These things come over time and they evolve, but you don't really remember who's the first person, right? Now, not everybody might say they don't want to be remembered, and like I think a lot of people want to be remembered because we all have egos, and that plays a role into you know who you become. Because you know I think Patrick Bet David said this, right? You can't not have ego if you want to do something great, if you want to impact a lot of people, right? Because those who don't have ego at all, well, that means you're extremely selfish, the way he said it. And the reason you're extremely selfish is because when you don't have any ego, that means part of you is still only, like, it means you let people walk over you, right? You let people do whatever they want, right? Because you don't have an ego. And because you don't have an ego, it means you're not going to do something great, because you don't want to get in you don't want to get in anybody's way. You probably say yes to everybody, and so you get taken advantage of, right? Because your ego isn't there to protect you. Now, obviously, if you have too much of an ego, it can work against you. But someone who has an ego and is putting the energy in the right direction, those tend to be the people who do great things, right? And so you must be extremely capable, right? You must be extremely capable. Even today, I realized that, you know, like, let me just say, my bloodline is extremely talented, right? Like, my dad's oldest brother, he has multiple talents. My dad has multiple talents. I'm the same way. I have multiple talents, right? Where I'm able to do lots of different things. I pick things up pretty quickly, right? So you could say, it's in my genetics to just to be great, right? Now that's my ego talking. But even as a man, right, your primary focus in life is to be extremely capable, right? So you want to focus on your skills development, right? On your networking, on your businesses, etc. Right? You always want to make sure that no matter what field you're in, heck, even in church, you want to make sure that you're always ranking up, you're always rising up into the most leveraged position, the most authoritative position. Now, not everybody can become, let's say, a pastor or something like that, but you want to make sure that you have a position that matters. Like, let's say, even my dad, he does it. Every masculine man does it. Every man who's masculine, they're always looking to raise their authority and leverage so that they are in a position that other people come to them. Even in your family, you want to make sure that you're in a position that your kids come to you, your wife comes to you, right? Or your siblings come to you, or your siblings' spouses come to you, right? That's the kind of position my dad's in, where everybody else in the family, they like to come to him, right? For certain things, not all the time, but majority of the time they do, right? And that's because in him, he's an extremely capable person. He has lots of different skills. He's able to do lots of different things, right? And so that kind of puts a standard on me where, okay, I gotta get to that or surpass it, right? I'm not gonna be less than that. Some people are okay with. Some people look at a standard that their parents hold on them, and it destroys them. I get that. It happens to some people where the type of not just standard, the type of expectations that parents can put on their kids, it destroys them as a person, right? They never become their own person. But me, I already know the expectations of my parents. Heck, I didn't go to school, right? Or I went for 2 weeks and I dropped out, right? So for them, that was already like a big bullet, let's say, right? Like, that was a massive bullet that I gave them when I chose to drop out, right? But I already understood that I know what I'm doing. I know where I'm headed. I know what direction I'm headed into. I have a lot of different things that are in play. Heck, even right now, the reason I'm learning stress management and all that stuff is because I understand the guys at the top, they have extreme different things that they do to manage their stress. But for me, I'm starting to have different projects on my plate. I'm starting to have different opportunities come in front of me, right? Just because of the contracts that I have in place, right? Now, it's not me, let's say, jinxing it, but the contracts that I have in place, they have me in a position where I know more and more stress is going to come, more and more projects are going to come my way, right? So obviously it's knowing when to say no and knowing when to say yes. But because I understand that I have these different projects that I have to pay attention to, these different team members I have to pay attention to, the different operations that I have to pay attention to, I understand that I need to perform. I need to perform. Right now, I wake up at 2 a.m. Right, so I'm supposed to be going to sleep. So the video is going to be ending soon. And the reason I wake up at 2 a.m. is because I have employees and contractors that are in Philippines, that are in India, that I need to be up, I need to give instructions to, right? And I'm not gonna let somebody else on the team do it because I'm assuming that responsibility. I'm assuming the leadership role. I'm leading the charge for the project. So I need to make sure that everything goes well, right? When we're doing a launch this week, and when we do the launch, I'm going to be talking about what we built and what we're building a lot more in my content so that you guys can be a part of it as well. But it's one of those things where you really need to know what you want. I'm honest with what I want. For me, it's not just money. I understand that power is a part of it. The power to do what I want, when I want, where I want, with who I want, right? The power to give away as much as I want to give away. The power to, you know, let's say change what I want to change if it's something I don't like, right? So I understand for me, part of it isn't just the money. I understand that even a majority of what I want is power, right? And I'm not saying this to say that, oh, I'm a masculine man, but when you're really a masculine man, a lot of what you want in life comes down to power, right? The power to, even if you don't want to have your face out there on the internet, you want the power to do that. You want the power to go away, right? You want the power to never be found. You want the power to just, let's say, disappear where you're making money and nobody could find you. There's lots of millionaires and billionaires like that nobody's ever heard of and nobody will ever hear of because they prefer to be in the shadows. They prefer to be behind the scenes, right? So a lot of it is power. If you truly want to be, as Tate says, in the top echelons of life, right? Like if you truly want to be up there, you're after power, right? And this isn't something that I've recently wanted, or let's say even Tate came out, right? A lot of people like to say, oh, you're only doing this because Tate, or they compare me to Tate, or they compare, like, I remember when I was really, really pushing a lot of TikTok content, they were like, oh, bro, you sound just like Tate, when I was making the content before Tate blew up, right? Like a lot of my mannerisms, I had them before Tate blew up, right? So, and that's not to disrespect Tate or to put any negativity towards him. It's more like I did the things that I did because it already aligned with some of the things he said. It's not that I started doing them after he said it, right? Even how I sit down, a lot of people would be like, bro, why are you sitting just like Tate? And I'm like, what are you talking about? I've always sat like this, right? I've always done the little hand thing that he does. I think I started doing it in elementary school when they, when I don't know what school you guys went to, but at my school, in elementary school, they made you sit crisscross applesauce or something like that, right? And it would be fold your hands, but I never liked folding my hands. I always did the little hand thing, right? So a lot of just characteristics that masculine men have. When you're truly masculine, we all align. We all talk the same. We may not look the same. We may not do things the same. But when it comes to mindset, when it comes to chasing what we want, a lot of times we think the same way, right? And so, as a man, your primary focus in life is to be extremely capable, right? You really need to build your value and your capability as a man, and when you have those in order, everything else will fall into place. That's what should keep you up at night, right? That's why you must absolutely be stubborn with your goals. Yet, be malleable with your methods of getting to the goal, right? And the reason I say this is because nobody owes you, right? That's why it's in your best interest to level up, right? Whenever you learn something new, try to implement it that day. Your ability to act and how fast will determine how fast results come for you, right? So you need to adopt this mindset. Don't ponder on decisions for weeks and fall into analysis paralysis, right? This whole process is supposed to be painful, but it just has to work once, right? And guess what? No one's ever going to see how hard you work. No one will ever truly see how hard you work, but they will see how good you get. They will see you start to perform better. They will see you start to speak better. They will see you start to play better if you're an athlete, right? But they don't see the hard work. They just see it's showtime. It's time to perform. How are you going to perform, right? When it's time to deliver, how are you going to deliver? Even if you're working a regular job, if you're making sandwiches, I used to do that, even though I did it for a month, and and then the next month I had my biggest payday in business because the anger that I felt just not only being in that job, but when they tried to give me a BS schedule, I was like, yo, I'm above this. Why am I here? And I took that anger and then I performed and then I had my biggest payday in business ever, right? Obviously now I'm trying to top it. I don't, with this project that I'm working on, the goal is to top that biggest day last year, right? Because even me and my boy, we talked about this. Last year was a year of drilling our mindsets, making sure our mindset is in place. This year is about laying the foundations so that next year and every year after that, we know that everything we did this year laid the right foundations, right? And so a lot of, even me posting a video every day, it's me laying a foundation, not only on YouTube, but everywhere else. Because I already know, like, this is what I mean by knowing your intentions and being honest with your intentions and then committing to your intentions and those actions of your intentions, right? Me being honest and knowing exactly what I want, knowing exactly how to get there, looking at the guys that are performing way better than me, 100 times better than me. What are they doing? What did they do? And it's not what they tell you they're doing. You got to pay attention to what exactly they're doing, because they will never really tell you exactly what, even for them, they may not know exactly how to tell you what they're doing, because you can't simplify something that's extremely complex, right? Like one of the content creators that I was studying recently, he couldn't just tell you what he's doing. He might simplify it for you and be like, yeah, we're posting a lot of content. Okay, you're posting a lot of content. Yeah, we're posting like 160 pieces of content per week. Okay, but they're not telling you how, right? They don't tell you, they don't give you all the little details, and the little details are what matters, right? And so I don't want to go on a rant about content in this video, but whenever you learn something new, try to implement it that day, right? Your ability to act and how fast will determine how fast results come. So you need to adopt this mindset. Don't ponder on decisions for weeks and fall into analysis paralysis. This whole process is supposed to be painful, right? But it just has to work once. It only has to work once, right? So there's really no room for lack of energy in any of this. And doing anything great requires tremendous amounts of energy. And the more you can understand that, and the more you apply this into your life, the more you apply this into everything you do, the more exceptional you're going to become, right? Because the goal is being a winner amongst winners. And so you got to love the fact that you get to build yourself. Every piece of yourself, you get to build it. Your mindset, your physique, even your finances, right? You get to build every piece of it, just like you're building a business, right? You have to love that fact. And think about this. You've had countless opportunities to change, but you've denied every single one. And hopefully my videos are helping you start to realize that, and you're starting to head into the right direction, right? So you must play the game, right? You must play the game to become a winner amongst winners, to become absolutely exceptional. Because understand that it is a game, right? Because you never truly win. You never truly stop playing the game. Because once you become a winner, now you're a winner amongst winners. So now you got to become a winner amongst winners, right? You get to 10K a month. Now you're competing with every other guy making 10K a month. You get to 100K a month. Now you're competing with every other guy making 100K a month. You get to $1 million a month. Now you're competing with every other guy making $1 million a month. So every time you get to the next level, you start at zero. But that's why you got to really love the game in order to keep playing, in order to truly become a winner amongst winners, in order to truly become exceptional, right? The goal is to be exceptional mentally, physically, and financially. That's it for this one, guys. Make sure you hit that sub. I'll see you on the next one.